Okay, so people are joining us now. We've opened our webinar for our Thursday morning session for Small Business Week. This will let people float in before we get into the official stuff. Because we have Karen here and we don't want her introduction to be missed. Okay, people are still coming in. Great. What a difference from yesterday. You know, the weather, I think fall is finally here.
I would agree that fall jacket has definitely come out of the closet.
I know. Yesterday or Tuesday morning was chilly. Yesterday was lovely, and then, oh well, we're at the end of October, so I guess we should expect it. All right, so I think we have pretty much everybody jumping in as our participants. We're at 10:04, so we're ready to go. So thanks everyone for joining us today to our session on Where's Waldo. We used it because we wanted people to understand that marketing is such a crapshoot, or promotions are such a crapshoot really, with in the digital space or the world of SEO and all the other things that our esteemed guests will talk about today. But there's one simple thing that we could do, and it's focusing a little bit on our Google My Business profile. We'll have a lot more to say about that. But first of all, I want to thank Karen Post for making today's session possible through their support with the City of Belleville. Karen, please.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much. We're thrilled to be sponsoring this session today. One thing we know for sure is that businesses having an easy to find profile online is super important in terms of attracting and maintaining new customers. So for us, it was a no-brainer to sponsor this session. I want to say special thank you to OSM and Snap 360 for sharing a bit of their expertise with everyone this morning. We really appreciate that sharing. It's so helpful. And I just want to remind everybody who's attending that we're very thankful for your attendance today, but also to remember that you're not alone in this. There are lots of companies around, OSM, Snap 360 in particular, that are here to help you with these things. They may seem daunting, but there is lots of help and support locally, and we encourage you to reach out to these businesses when you need to. So thanks for the opportunity to sponsor. Welcome to the session, and I'm looking forward to all the information that's going to be shared this morning. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Karen, and for the City of Belleville for helping us out with this, for sure. Small Business Week wouldn't be possible without the support of all our municipalities, and we have certainly benefited. And, you know, with one more day to go in Small Business Week, we have sessions tomorrow with the Prince Edward County Chamber, and then tomorrow night, the Quinte Business Achievement Awards, which should be fun, exciting. So thanks very much. So now to get started with our panel, I'll start with maybe having them introduce each other or introduce themselves. So we've got Kit Dixon and Dan Ireland from Snap 360 and Joshua Edwards from OSM. So I will let you start, Ken.
Oh, thank you very much, Jill, and thank you, Karen, for hosting this. I think this is a great opportunity for for us and Dan and Josh to share some of the tips and insights into how to get more visibility for your business and to build your sales funnel. I'm the founder of Snap 360, which is started in 1995, so we've been around for a long time, and we've been pushing the envelope ever since. We do branding, logo design, websites, web applications, and digital marketing campaigns.
Have to BCC disappeared on my computer again.
Sorry? Did I disappear?
No, you're good. Lisa was talking. I'll just get her to mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had muted. My bad. I've been so quiet.
That's okay, Lisa. That's, never mind. I won't be offended that you interrupted my big speech. It's okay. Anyway, we're here to help, and we've got lots of stuff to share with folks that are online. So thank you very much, Jill, for the opportunity to introduce myself.
Thanks so much. And in the sake of alphabetical, let's go with Josh Edwards.
Good morning. First of all, thanks, Jill, and everybody here today that's helped bring this event together. Again, my name is Josh Edwards, owner of OSM, one-stop digital agency specializing in everything from branding, website design, photography, videography, email, hosting, custom work, you name it, we do it. So excited to be here and just excited to engage with folks today.
And then Dan, on to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm with Snap 360, and I'm a designer, developer, solution strategist there. I've been with Ken for 14 years. We've covered a lot of territory together. I specialize mostly in web development and web design and branding design. Thank you very much.
And I want to thank all three of you. I have had the pleasure of working with each of you on a number of different projects. So I'm really excited that even though in the real world you might be competitors, I know that in practicality and application, what you do and what you share is all so special, and giving a group of people an opportunity to see kind of the dynamic energy between the whole how to put things online piece together. I thank you all for joining me today. So one of the reasons that, I mean, marketing, people talk about marketing all the time. And I have a special piece in my heart about that, but it's also about the promotion and how do you get yourself out there? And people talk about promotion as marketing in general, but for the most part, we named this session Where's Waldo because in the digital space, it's pretty hard to stand above, and we'll hear things about SEO. We'll hear things about, social media is where it's at. Oh, get an ad, do this, do that. And these are all things that are going to drive people to your site. And when we're also talking about it on the other hand of that, we're talking about supporting local. Amazon always comes up if you Google something. So how do you try to interfere with that? And over the coming months, each of our chambers will be working on shop local campaigns and really trying to get our communities to look for local resources to support their needs. And so one of the things we've found is that the easiest, freest way to kind of show up is with this Google My Business profile. And I'm keeping this on a gallery view because each of the people participating here with Ken and Josh and Dan, they all have special tips and tricks and some hints and ideas on how to make this work for you. So I think Ken wanted to show us kind of what that Google My Business profile looks like in reality. So I'll let him just put that on the screen here and maybe speak a little bit about what it looks like. And please, any questions, put them in the Q&A because we'll pull them forward as we're moving through this.
Hey, thanks, Karen. Sorry, Jill. I just go share my screen on the. Let's see if I can find the right spot here. So can you see the Google screen here? I've done a
Yes,
search.
thank you.
Great. So I've just done a search for our company. What better company to search for? So I had to pick an example. So I searched for Snap 360, and we came up here. It could be your business name here, and you'll see on the right that here's my business profile that would come up. So this could be your profile. If you've got a My Business listing, then people search for your whether they search for your business name, whether they search for some keywords, then your business comes up. You'd want them to be able to see this profile on there, because this is like a quick overview, and it's got, you know, links to your website, your office hours, your phone numbers, and so on. So how did that get there? Well, I think Dan is going to help with that, but I wanted to show you that this is, you get an account with Google, and then you have your profile here. So this is our console. I've logged in to our company, and so I've got a description here. You could edit this stuff, which will show up on the public side. And then one of the things I wanted to mention was that if you want a link to your My Business profile, you could do that. If you go on to, if you go to info and you go, oh, I've just lost it now here. Oh yeah, share your business profile. You know, everything's on the screen, and if you're like most people, you look at a page with a lot of information on it, you go, oh geez, where do I go? You got to look at the details, as I've just finally did. This one here, share your business profile. You click on this, and this is the link, and you can copy and paste this link, and you can put it in your Facebook, your website, whatever social media. That's the link. And if I go there, oops, let me back up here. If I that's my next slide here. If I go here, this will take us right to our page. And this could be yours. I'm just using our company as an example. And this is what happens when people click on that link that you gathered from there. So over on the left is a normal profile that you would have seen on the search page, but it also shows you on a Google map where we are along with everybody else. So how do you get there? You would start out if you go to google.com business, and you can sign in or manage now or create one. So that's how you would get there. And I don't know if it's got time for questions now, or did you want to deal with questions later?
Yeah, so let's, I mean, that we might even have to touch back on this again, Ken, because we're really getting right into this is what happens.
Right.
So, you know, between Dan and Josh, maybe what type of information? So now we know how to kind of claim our profile. We're going to go to business, googlebusiness.com. What kind of information should I have ready for that? Because it looks like there's a lot of detail that's included. So maybe I'll throw it to you, Josh, first. What's your usual recommendation? Like when you say you're going to do this, how do we start?
Yeah, I think the first thing to keep in mind, and this is very, very helpful whenever you're going to fill in information for any type of platform. So this could be universally just an approach when you're looking at this, is looking at the consumer using the platform. What is the platform for? And really understanding, you know, the consumer's purpose when they're on that platform, because that really then helps you determine the direction of what type of information we're going to be filling out here. For example, Ken had shown very eloquently the options of, hey, you could put your website link here, you could put your social media link here. I have seen it where businesses, they don't have a website, so they put their social media link, you know, in the URL spot, so people can go view them on social media. I think we have to really understand the user that's searching, and when we understand, hey, when I'm on Google searching for something, yes, I'm doing research. I'm probably in looking to buy something. I'm probably looking to investigate. And what better source to have that type of information, to see that type of information than a website itself. So if I'm making recommendations, I would 100% recommend that a website URL be in that URL link, because that's what the consumer who's using Google will be looking for. You know, what's the website link? What is the general information? Maybe there's pricing on the website. So that's, you know, that's certainly one thing. And then I think one thing that people don't necessarily realize is you can actually add your products, individual products, to a Google business listing. Very, very underutilized in the marketplace. And it's a great way to showcase, hey, if you got things that are, you know, maybe they're seasonal, something that's really sells well in a certain type of season, I would be as active on your Google My Business as I am on social media, which means, you know, let's switch up those products based on what's hot, what's selling, what's relevant to the consumer base that you're serving. Certainly reviews are important. And I think probably where most people struggle is, you know, how do I go ahead and get reviews? And I think one way that has worked really well, and we've seen this, is value. What can you give the consumer, your customer base, for example, of value, and say, hey, can you leave us a review? Don't ask them, you know, just give me a 5-star review, because that's a little bit of a cheat. Just say, hey, give me your honest review of the business. And you know, put a little bit of value behind that. You'll be surprised the response that you get. And when people are searching on Google, again, coming back to the purpose of the platform and what consumers are looking for, they're really looking for that social proof. They're really looking for that, hey, how many people have you served? Did they have a good experience with you? So those are a few examples of things I would definitely include when looking to filling out that information on your business listing.
Dan, do you want to add anything there?
Basically that the interface is really easy to use. And once you've validated your company and you're approved by Google, the prompts are really going to walk you through what to fill out initially. You know, hours of operation, addresses, your website address. And the one thing I would recommend is fill out as much as you can without getting too much into the weeds. The other thing to think about is that Google is going to do a lot of the crawling itself. So you might be pulling your hair out trying to figure out how to get your Facebook link on your knowledge panel that shows up, that Ken shows what shows up in a search in that right-hand column. That's all done through how well you're connecting your total social platform. So how you're linking from your website to Facebook to Google My Business. So there is some tips and tricks on how to do those things when filling out that information. But I think your initial question is, what does a business owner need to have ready when they go to create their profile? And it's, you know, the standard things to get started: nice photos, hours of operation, be ready to set up a review panel on Google. And it's always nice to start with some Google My Business posts. You can post, as Josh said, you can add a lot and be creative. So if you're a restaurant owner, you can post your menu. And Google will help you out a lot. Sometimes people say it helps too much. So if you're a hotel operator, it might have your lowest rates that Google has found on Airbnb or a booking software system that it knows it's associated with you. So be ready for that as well, that Google's going to try and help you out a lot with it. But it is easy to do, and it's free. And yeah, I really encourage everyone that if you're not on this platform, you need to be on this platform as an SMB.
So you mentioned something about the kind of when you're getting started with this whole piece about having to validate this. So let's just say Jill's sweaters wants to be online. So what do I have to do? Like, what is that very first thing I have to do?
Sorry, is that, do you want me to take this one?
Sure. Well, only because you mentioned the idea about having to be
okay.
approved, having to be approved. I have to be approved? What do you mean? I own my business.
I just so happen to have an article here on how to do just that. I check my screen here. Can everybody see this? So here's an article I found online in preparation for this. And really the first thing you're going to do is, as Ken said, you go to google.com My Business. And this is really the crucial part of it, because at Snap, we've helped clients that have been locked out of their profile accounts because they were the only ones that had a person that had access to this account was the only one, that had access to this account. They leave the company and your profile's in limbo. And Google takes privacy seriously when it comes to someone else trying to claim your business. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to either sign up, or if you have an existing Google account, you're going to sign in. When picking this address, it's good to have something universal to the company. So, Jill Sweaters, Jill at jillsweaters.ca. You might want to think about doing something more like Google at jillsweaters.ca, and also allow people to have access to this, other people in the company. If you're at the top level and it's your company, that's okay, just keep it under your name. But if you want other people managing for this, it should be a universal access. So sorry about the long-winded explanation there. It's really important though. So the first thing you're going to do is go in, and if you really have nothing, you should create a business Gmail account, would be the easiest way. And this kind of opens the door to all of Google's services. You can use this account to manage most of your Google services, including Google My Business. So you're going to create that, and then you're going to use that to sign up for your Google account. And that's shown here. And I'll go through this really quick. There's lots more details, but it is a pretty easy process. The other thing that might have happened is Google might have picked up your business already. And what they will do is, if I'm scrolling down here, sorry, I'm just this important. Right here. So you might be a business owner and you've done a search for yourself. You don't have a Google business profile, but Google's already picked it up. Or somebody else has claimed it, which is rare, but it does happen. So what you're going to look for in your knowledge card, one quick way to do it on your knowledge panel is to look for this, these sort of prompts, like, do you own this business? And you click that, and that will take you in to claim that business, and it will start that process for you. If you're brand new, you want to just go through the steps, sign up for Google My Business, follow the prompts that it will give you. And I'll provide this document for everybody that you can follow along to get set up. It's going to prompt you for what kind of businesses you are, obviously your location. And when you get through the steps, you're going to be finally asked to validate your business. And this is a step that some people get put off by because it does take a little time. It takes about a week to be validated. And the most popular way is to do it through a postcard submission. So if your business is capable of accepting phone calls through a non-automated system, you can potentially validate that way quicker. But what will happen was Google will send you a card with a code on it. They'll mail it to you, it's free, and you just come back to your listing and put that code in. And then you'll have access to start building up your knowledge panel.
So just, I guess, the interesting piece here is that you can claim it, but it might take a week before you can validate it and start doing that. So just to give people an idea that there's a bit of a time frame in here that you have to manage. But then, and I think the other point you had made is don't let your summer students set this up, because you've got a young person in there saying, oh, you know what, you should Google My Business, and I'm going to set it up under my account of, Jilly Bean at at gmail.com. And all of a sudden now I can never get back into that again.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want your business under like super surfer 9000 at gmail.com. You want it to be a professional email, keep it concise, and that more than one person has access to it in your business, so that it can shift hands, because it can be a nightmare to try and reclaim a business that is legitimately yours.
If I could, can I jump in on the validation? Because I just helped one of our clients with this, and it's not so bad. The point, just to underscore the point, is that Google wants to do the right thing in this case and make sure that the person claiming a business is the person that owns the business, and that that business is legitimate and it's not some fly-by-night scam thing. So that's where the postcard comes in. They will send it to the address, the postal address you give them, and that way they know that when you come back with the code on the postcard, that you're the person that controls that bricks and mortar address, and that that's really you. So it's actually not that hard. You fill that in, you click validate, and within a week, sometimes it's just 3 or 4 days, you'll get the postcard in the mail, you got your code, you plug it in, and you're all set, and you're good to go.
It just seems so funny in the world of digital everything that the only way you can do this is with something you get in the mail.
Well, otherwise you could be a Russian hacker, pretending to be, the Belleville Chamber of Commerce or whatever. So we don't want that.
Yeah. No, and I guess we're always also so used to things happening so fast. I just want a code texted to my phone. Like, how hard is that? And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, no, wait a minute, I'm going to have to wait 5 days. Yes, or so. So anyway, I think it's just important to lay the groundwork for people to understand that. And then we talked a little bit about kind of that generic contact information and how important that is to have, and that it would be easily transferable in somebody moving into the business. I mean, we have a password list here, and we have a series of things that we keep kind of in a safe place. But in the event that, someone gets hit by a truck, you need to be able to get to that information, and you don't want to have it lost.
That's right.
We talked a little bit about the website piece, and Josh, you mentioned the idea, the importance of having that URL versus like a Facebook link or something like that. It's relatively easy to create a website now. Like, anybody can do that with Wix. I hate to say that to Ken and Josh both. But
It's true.
but if I have to have something, what should I have on that? What's the most important information to include on my website if that's going to be something people are going to go to, but I don't really want to work with a website?
I think the best way to answer that question is to talk to your customer directly. I think that's probably the piece that gets missed more often than not in any type of web development project. The consumer feedback that is so critical to actually making a website that's actually going to speak to the person that you intended the website for. So if you have any way to have some sort of a survey, get feedback, maybe it's from friends, that are our clients, any way you can to actually have a touch point with the consumer that's going to use this thing, and just get feedback from them. What do you want to see on this? What would you want to see that would help you walk through the buying process? Because a website is an assistant buyer. So we have to approach it that way, and we have to have the right information when we're approaching this. I think that's super, super important.
And from the perspective of your Google My Business profile kind of being the front end of that piece. So this is where if your website doesn't hold your hours, which it should, or your contact information, which it should, but your Google My Business profile can be that front end piece to that. Any comments on that, Ken or Dan?
Sure. I want to underscore what Josh has said. I think he's really going the right track. One of the things that we start off with our clients is the website is not about you. It's not about your company. It's about your customers. It's about what their needs and aspirations are, and making sure that when they come to your website, if it's someone from your target market, that they should see something reflected on the website. They're coming there for a reason. Usually they're in pain and they want the pain to go away, or they have some aspirations and they want to be able to fulfill those aspirations. So if you could get some doorways on your website that connect emotionally to the emotional needs of your prospective clients, then that's a real way to drawing them into the site. And then if it's designed well, you're going to turn out motivated, qualified leads. That's the main purpose of a website, unless you're selling directly online. But getting those motivated, qualified leads are important. And knowing who your customers are, knowing what's important to them and where they live and so on is all part of the preliminary process. So I just kind of wanted to expand on what Josh was saying, which was very much I would agree with. being able to be found is really important. And one of the other advantages of the Google My Business of being on there is that the more you do with Google, the more that's going to bring your ranking up. You want to be on, I mean, I peeked quickly at the chat and somebody asked about how many times people go to the second page. Well, they might if they can't find what they're looking for. But if you're on page one, so much the better. Because if people find you and they think you might have their answer, they'll click there and they'll go there. And that could be from the Google My, the fact that they search for you and your My Business shows up there, they think, wow, this is a going concern. The other thing you might want to do, and this is another topic, is to have Google Ads and be on the first page. Then you're going to pay for that. It's really cost effective, but that's another topic. But the search engine optimization, being found for free, is like the first goal that you want to achieve. So it's having the website, as Josh said. I mean, again, you control your website. You don't control Facebook. You could have a great profile on there, but who sees it? How many links are shared? That's up to Facebook, not you. You control your website, and that's I would say that's really important. Whether if you've got if it makes sense for you business-wise to hire professionals such as Josh or ourselves, that's great. If you're a limited budget, go to Wix or whatever, but get yourself on a website. That's your spot, and go from there. Sorry, have I wandered off topic, Jill? Apologies if I have.
Oh, that's okay. I think, again, we're just saying that a website really is your placeholder in a digital space, and where you can have a bricks and mortar building. And I think one of the things we're hoping to emphasize is that for businesses that do have brick and mortar and want people to come and see them or connect with them, and when you're supporting local in general, there is a personal connection to that. It's still important to have that website piece. Just even if I'm searching, I want to know that if I click that, I know you exist in a virtual space as well.
To add real quick, Jill, and I totally agree with you. I think one important thing here is, and I love keeping things relevant to the times and what's happening right now. And the reality is that we've gone through the last 18 months where there is openings and closings, and my hours have changed, and this has changed, and this is updated, and business owners are operating their businesses differently today than they were 18 months ago. So I think this is the direction that this conversation is going, and talking about the value of having that profile in Google My Business. Keeping that part of your digital infrastructure up to date is critical. I can't count how many times I thought a restaurant was open, or I thought this was open, or I thought that was open, and I go there and they're closed. Well, their hours online said that they were open, but nobody bothered to go through and update that information in their Google My Business listing, because that's the first place I'm going when I'm looking. Is something open? Is it closed? That's the first place I'm going. So it's very, very important. You are losing considerable amounts of business if you don't have that piece of your infrastructure updated on a regular basis.
I think actually that brings it down to the idea of why Google My Business or that profile is so important, because it's such an easy, quick update. Once you're connected to that, it's not like getting into the back end of a complicated website where you might have all of that information and you have to understand HTML code or something else. This is a really super easy way to update your hours and keep that information current. So if you have to close suddenly, you can put that on your profile, and someone looking for you that moment will automatically know. So it's a real easy way to stay current.
And if Josh, what happened when if you looked up a restaurant and you wanted to go there and they said they were open, you got there and they were closed, how likely were you to go to visit that restaurant a second time?
Zero. I'm going to the one that I can rely that what they're saying online is matching what is actually happening in real life. Yeah.
And we also talked a little bit, and we're going to move a little bit into the social media piece on this. And then we'll get into the review section because that's always the fearful part about a Google My Business piece, because you can get a Facebook review, you can get a Google review, but if you're connected, and you mentioned having your Facebook profile, people don't tend to track back to the profile of a business or a page. They'll look at your posts and they'll follow those things and go, oh, okay, so and so's got, you know, Caesar salad today, or their, you know, soup of the day is whatever. And but they don't go back to check necessarily the Facebook profile of that business. They might Google it now to see what the hours are or something like that. So I think your point being that the Google My Business profile has that piece, but how do we feed social media? Can your Instagram, can your Twitter, can your Facebook feed that Google My Business profile a little bit? And how do you connect with that a little bit more?
Well, I'll speak real quick on this. I think that we have to first understand the purpose of social media, the purpose of a Google business profile versus a website. I always like to refer to the website as, you know, that's the trunk. And then aspects like your social media and your Google My Business, you know, those are the branches that connect to that trunk. So I actually go the reverse. And I say that social media is typically where people will come across you, either you know, your website really impressed them, and they're like, and maybe you have a feed of your Instagram on the website. Well, let's look a little bit more into this company and see what they're doing on the social side. You might have that happen. But I would say more often than not, you have people that find you through social media, then track over to the website. So it becomes the branch that brings people in to that main infrastructure. And I think it's really important that people understand that flow, because the purpose of social media at its best form is to build fans, build people that, you know, they're in love with you as a brand. They're in love with your values. They're in love with what you represent as a company. And then, you know, making sure that your infrastructure across the board reflects that.
Thoughts, Dan or Ken?
You're muted, Ken. It happened.
The phrase
Yeah,
of 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I think Josh's exactly on the right track. I mean, I would say that your website is like he took call it a trunk, the locus of your presence on the in the digital world, and that the social media is a way of feeding into that. It depends on the type of business that you have and how much time you have to spend, because it takes a lot of time to stay up to date with postings on Facebook, to make them relevant and to interact. I mean, it's a two-way street. So if you're just putting out sales messages on Facebook, it's not going to be that effective. I mean, it's really effective when you're engaging with customers and contacts on there. And how much time do you want to spend? And what's the return on investment for the hours you spend engaging with this customer and that customer versus the sales that come through? I think you really got to look at that. And it's also, it's never made sense to us to have a client hire us or anybody else to do this social media posting, because A, it's going to cost money, and B, we're not in your company. I mean, in the social media, it's a personal thing. So you might be saying, so-and-so's having a birthday, or we had a great party, or this and that happened in our company. It's a social thing. And how is a third party going to know? So it's something that you would have to take on yourself. And the second thing is, you know, back, you know, a decade ago, if you made a post on Facebook, it would get spread out far and wide. Not anymore. You want that post to spread, you've got to pay Facebook for that. Not necessarily a bad idea, but you got to know that unless you got to pay to play on Facebook and the other social media. So you have to factor that in with part of your overall digital marketing campaign, and maybe split your spend with Facebook postings and Google AdWords, and see, and just test it and see, because both of them will give you great analytics as to how many people saw your post or your ad, how many people clicked on it, And by the way, you just generally would be paying for the click-throughs, not for how many people saw it. So even if it costs you $2 for a click-through, that's someone that's seen your ad or your Facebook post said, yeah, I want to know more about this offer that I saw here that came to your website. So now you've got somebody that is an interested, qualified prospect for your business, and that may well be worth the $1 or $2 that cost you for that click. But I sort of feel like I'm kind of digressing a bit. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, and I guess one of the things I wanted to suggest too is that when you're trying to feed the Google review piece, is there some way to connect your followers on social media to that, back to that Google review?
Yes, there is. That was it's in your Google My Business. There is a section if you go to the info where you can get your link to your Google profile and then include that along with the invitation, as Josh has said, to invite people to say, hey, you like my business, you don't like my business, come here and give us a review and fill it in. Don't just give me the 5 stars. So there is that link available. I can go back to it, but I think Dan's got a document that will show you how to get started, and maybe people can go from there. Does that make sense?
Google also provides some resources for you to get started. So pre-done graphics and images and instructions on how to send out something like come review my business.
And I guess that's if you're going to spend any time on social media with your customers that way, if you can get them to feed each other, that's where your profile gains more strength, and that also helps.
Yeah,
SEO, right?
You know, you're just strapping more rockets onto the main ship, right? With every social media platform you're using well, and your Google My Business can be looked at from a business perspective is online. It's really the initial handshake. It's the first introduction to the business. It's probably where people are going to find you first. And there's lots of stats to back that up. You know, I have some here. Google has over 90% of the search engine market share. 97% of people learn more about a local company online than anywhere else. 91% of adults use search engines to find information. And the really, really neat one for small businesses is Google has reported 46% of all searches have local intent. So 46% people are looking local for solutions to spend money. So you want that initial handshake to look good and have lots of things on it. And if that, sorry, if that initial handshake has your social media feeds in there, it's a nice gateway in to say this company's with it, they have a lot going on. It just validates the search result. And that's what Google's all about. Google wants to serve its users by giving them the information they're looking for. That's all that Google's about. It's giving you relevant information. And our job and the small business owner's job is to figure out how to get into that and to be relevant and to give accurate information so they rank higher. And that's it.
Right. Really quickly, so we talked a little bit about this whole review piece. And I know that's a sticky point for some because you get a bad review. And just like being able to claim your business can be a challenge and it takes some time, what happens when somebody gives you a bad review?
Two things. One, and just to go back real quick, I just want to leave people with something really practical that they could implement tomorrow if we're talking about linking social media to getting reviews. Leveraging a single post is really, really good. So I'll give you just a real quick tangible example. I put out a post that invited 6 individuals to come to a private strategy event with me. What that person had to do is they had to comment on the post. They had to be the first 6 people to comment on that post, and then they were picked to get invited to that strategy meeting. So then I hold the strategy meeting. They attend the strategy meeting, get tons of value. And then in that strategy meeting, I say, hey, you know, if you thought this was good, here's a link to my Google My Business review section. You know, please, you know, leave a positive review. Better yet, I can go into my stories the next day after the event and tag the 6 businesses that came to that event and say to them there, hey, if you enjoyed this event, this was valuable to you, please go to my link tree in my Instagram bio, and there's a link to leave a review for me there. So that was something really quick and tangible I wanted to share. And then the second piece is people are going to have all types of things to say about your business. I think the very first thing to mention is that don't be afraid about getting a negative review. It's going to happen. You can't avoid it. I think the thing that helps empower people is to know that context is everything, and never not responding to a review. So always respond to a review, good or bad, and always encourage the individual who's maybe left a negative review to follow up with you. So, you know, whether you put your email or put a phone number that they can call. I always, as a rule of thumb, I always like to address the issue. You don't have to go too in depth, too into detail, but maybe add a little bit of context and then suggest the follow-up. Typically, when people go and look at reviews, if it's all, if they, you know, sometimes they're looking for that negative review because they're looking for how you respond to it. They're looking for, you know, what's this business have to say for this person that is saying they didn't experience a good service. And how you respond has everything to do with sometimes even validating to the person that's looking at you. Oh, I do want to deal with this business. Look at the way they handled this negative review. I kind of like the way they handled that. I'm going to give them a shot.
Yeah, that's great, Josh. Just one of the things people may not know is that you don't have to constantly monitor your My Business page to find out about this. They will, whenever anybody leaves a review, you're going to get an email with the review. So then you'll be alerted to the fact that someone said some good things or bad things about you. And I think it's a great way to learn. Like, for example, if you're a business owner and you got, I don't know, 10 or 20 employees, and one of the employees is giving customers a hard time, you need to know that so that you can address it. Or if there's any other issue where you genuinely let a customer down, as Josh said, you want to respond to that customer, maybe explain what happened or offer to make it up to them in one way or another, which is going to show that you're responsible and you provide good customer service. You are going to get occasionally some nut bar that totally slags your business with crazy stuff. And the people that come across a review like that are going to know, oh, this is obviously a nut bar, and they're going to ignore it because you got, like, maybe you've got 10 reviews that are 4 or 5 stars and the one that's a 1 star. People know that's an outlier. So by all means respond to them, but don't worry that that's going to suddenly turn everybody off because they know nut bars when they see them.
Okay, perfect. Now, I wanted to, there's one question here about, do you need to have a Gmail account to leave a Google review?
Sorry, Jill, what was that?
Do you need to have a Gmail account to leave a Google review?
That's a great question.
I don't think so.
No.
Not Gmail, but a Google account.
Right.
Which by the way, you would have if you have a Google My Business account. By default, you would have a Google account that way. And once you have that, you're able to leave reviews for other people on Google.
Yeah. Emily's going to run, but she had wanted to know about effectively using Google Trends. So that might be the topic for our next session for sure. And
real quick on that before Emily goes. One, I would leverage the platform itself to research what those trends are. So you have a little bit of education there. And then B, I would look at your digital infrastructure as it is and look at how can I adjust the approach I'm taking to the overall strategy of my digital marketing to you know, a candor to those trends that are happening, whether it be, you know, YouTube is doing really well in search engines right now. So do I have podcast content that I have on Spotify that maybe I should be uploading to YouTube in a video format, because that's doing really well in Google in Google right now. So yeah, looking at, you know, researching what are those trends and then adapting in the overall strategy of your marketing.
That's great advice. And I mean, I think there are so many things we can talk about with regard to digital marketing. I'm just really glad that we spent this much time talking about this Google My Business piece, because it really is step one, or maybe step two. You have your website first, you might have your social media profile as well, but that Google My Business piece is where people are going to, as you said, if 46% are looking to spend locally through Google still, then we want to be able to kind of connect people to that. And for those of, I'm going to make a quick mention of the fact that the Belleville Chamber of Commerce applied for a Shop Local grant with the Ontario Chamber. We've got some money coming, and we're directing that money towards a mapping process for a comprehensive business directory, where we're hoping that the first piece of this is that they claim their Google My Business profile. And then with some help with Snap 360, they're going to have that mapping. So this is going to be a free call to action, so to speak. It will actually fall under our website first, that is managed by OSM. And so I love the fact that we can use both of you to help us do what we need to do. And we'll be getting this, and Chamber Master is our CRM program that we use. So between OSM, our Chamber Master, and Snap 360, we're going to develop this really comprehensive business directory that anybody can get involved in. The one key piece to being mapped will be claiming that Google My Business profile, which is free. Now, there are lots of other options to pay for additional exposure. And I know that Get in the Loop, I think we've got Steve here kicking around in the audience, and we talk about bringing some of that stuff forward, and maybe in a second session, we can do that. We can talk a little bit more about digital trends and how the Google trend piece and how your digital marketing part works, and where you pay for Google AdWords, when do you pay for a Facebook ad, when do you want to try and create more than organic reach. Those are all really great topics. But they're complicated, and they're different for everyone. Anyway, so we're looking forward to being able to do that coming forward. But any final words of advice with regard to this Google My Business profile, or any other interesting things you want to add?
Go do it. Go claim your listing. You need to. You have to.
Yes, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it will improve your search engine ranking. And then when people see you, they know you're a going concern and that you're a real business. So don't hesitate.
Yeah, I would treat your Google business listing like any developer would treat real estate. You want to own it.
That's perfect. Thank you. I hope this will be helpful to all of you. We're at 10:56. Any last minute questions? I'm seeing some thanks in the chat. We'll have the recording session available shortly. And
Jill, I just wanted to, if I may, just to let people know that maybe if they send you an email with a request, Dan can provide them with that Word document that's like an intro on how to set up the My Business. So that's available to anybody.
Yep, actually, Dan, if you send it to me, what I'll do is anybody who's registered today, I will I'll forward it on.
Be happy to do that.
Thanks so much.
No problem.
And thanks, Josh, Ken, and Dan, for joining me this morning. And all of you out there in webinar land, enjoy this day, and hopefully it and then hopefully we'll get rid of this rain soon enough. Anyway, have a great weekend, and enjoy the rest of Small Business Week.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Bye for now. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.